Wicker, written by Stormix 1357. My phone vibrated violently on my desk. It was a Monday, about midday. Lockdown restrictions after COVID-19 were slowly being lifted. I found this gorgeous wicker basket by the clothes donations. It would look great in the flat, my girlfriend texted me. It was a nice basket, quality material. The light wood color would lighten up our dark flat. I couldn't understand why people would dump perfectly good belongings outside a closed donation area. She brought it back with her that afternoon and we placed it in our lounge. We just used it to store our Nintendo Switch controllers and games. It was just a small basket to keep random shit in. We didn't really give a thought about what it had previously been used for or who it belonged to. We didn't think about why they had gotten rid of it. Things were fine for about a week. The following Monday, the electric cut out. Plunged into darkness in the early evening. We called our electrician, and he came out the next day. He studied the flat for about 2 hours. My girlfriend went out to walk through the forests, and I stayed home to make sure the electrician was actually doing his job. I'd become a bit paranoid after we had hired a guy, and he had stolen my girlfriend's jewelry. I sat in my office, and there was a light knock at my door. I spun around to see the electrician standing in the doorway, with a look of confusion and panic. I asked him if it was fixed. He said there was nothing to fix. Of course, I asked him to elaborate. All the wiring for our flat was gone. Thin strips of some sort of wood were laying in their place. He had no explanation for it. I had no explanation for it. At first, I thought it was bullshit, but he showed me. We moved out into a vacant apartment that had luckily become available on the floor below us. We took everything with us. Things were fine for about a week. We had electric. We had water. We were happy. I awoke on Monday night to the feeling of something falling and cutting me in the face. I initially just brushed at my face and rolled over. The screeches of my girlfriend slithered into my ears. I sat bolt upright. I immediately scanned the room, expecting to see an intruder. I thought I caught a glimpse of someone sprinting out of our bedroom and into the safety of the dark hallway. My hand snagged on something. I looked down and hundreds of small wooden, rune-like looking things had been scattered over me and my partner whilst we slept. My girlfriend went to stay with a friend the next day. I called the police and they checked everywhere for signs of a break-in, and they took a couple of wooden shapes with them for examination. A couple of guys in black suits sat down and asked me to run them through all the events that had led up to the previous night. I told them about the wooden electric wire incident. They gave me a card for some sort of psychiatrist and left. Things were fine for about a week. My girlfriend returned to our apartment last Friday. We were sitting in the living room last night. We were watching TV, just chilling. We like to watch the shitty reality shows you could find on Netflix. The electric went out. Yet again, we were plunged into darkness. I cursed under my breath. My girlfriend lit one of her fancy candles she keeps on a cabinet and handed it to me. I lit a few other ones for her and I walked off by myself to find the fuse box. All the fuses were on. There shouldn't have been any issues. I sighed. I remember thinking, not this shit again. I walked back into the lounge to rant at my girlfriend about how shit it was in this block of flats. She was sitting upright, eyes rolled back, mouth wide open, to the point of almost dislocation. She was emitting a quiet creaking sound. I shook her and slapped her, but she continued to be dormant. The sound of scratching made me turn around quickly. It had probably been going on for a while, but I only noticed it when it made my spine shiver. I could make out the wicker basket. The candlelight flickered and danced across its light brown weave. All of the contents had been thrown on the floor. One hand emerged from the basket, slowly climbing out of the basket. Then another hand emerged. Long, dirty fingers, skeletal arms, and the form of what appeared to be a decaying woman in a long, dark, almost medieval-looking dress. I threw one of the Nintendo controllers at her. I watched as it dispersed into ash before delicately brushing past her. She slowly creaked towards me. I turned back to the sofa. Where there had been flesh and blood now lay a wooden scarecrow in the form of my girlfriend. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't save her. I felt the cold, bony talons of the witch from the basket grab my face and spin it round to her face. I looked deep into her eyes. They were covered in scratches and scars. I could only just make out her bright green pupils. The smell of decay and animal shit flew out from her slightly open mouth. She leaned in closer. Baba Yaga. Her voice was like tiny little knives, slowly slitting my eardrums. I managed to let out a scream of agony. The candles blew out. She vanished. I sat alone in our flat. My flat. No one remembers my girlfriend. I drove to her dad's house. He told me he did never have a child, but something in his eyes saddened at the mention of her. I tried phone books, newsletters, banks, and any available document that could have the mention of her name. There was nothing. All pictures with the two of us now only contain me. All I have of her is the memory and the feeling that something has been ripped from my very essence. I'm getting rid of the wicker basket today. There's a bunch of bins for recycling and old clothes on the outskirts of town. I'll get rid of it there.